We're going to do this. This is how we start off our shows, okay? We start off on the left side, and we go, huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. All right. And huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. Hey, huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. Hey, huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. All right. Save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. Save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. Hey, save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. Hey, save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. Save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. We're going to do this. This is how we start off our shows, okay? We start off on the left side, and we go, huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. All right. And huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. Hey, huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. Hey, huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. All right. Save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. Save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. Hey, save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. Hey. Save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. Save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. We're going to do this. This is how we start off our shows, okay? We start off on the left side, and we go, huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money. Okay, it's Ugly Old Goat here. It is August. Is it August 20th already? Wow. Okay, it is August 20th, 2024. And we're going to look at some of the Bitcoin fundamentals today. Apparently a lot of people are now seeing the same thing that I've been talking about. And here's an article that
that came out that apparently they view that Bitcoin is still leading gold despite the record high prices. And of course, in the long run, that's true. For the fun of it, I brought up this chart here. Now, this is by Wooly Woo, and this is the Bitcoin versus gold over 14.9 years. And so it is a very telling story. And you can see when Bitcoin briefly went above gold and then sold down, and then we've been in a bull market ever since. So in the long run, Bitcoin is the best inflationary hedge, because there's a fixed amount of Bitcoin that's ever going to be produced, and the stock flow ratio really does not apply because Bitcoin is a unique commodity. And I think it's kind of entertaining down here when Willie Woo made this chart. He said it tracks gold versus Bitcoin performance from a $1 investment on October 6, 2009, when Bitcoin was when the Bitcoin first had a market. And he humbly dedicated this chart to Peter Schiff in honor of his tireless promotion of Bitcoin to his audience of gold bugs. We are forever grateful. And yes, there are very few of the gold bugs, people of my generation, understood gold, but they didn't understand Bitcoin. And so they have continued to purchase gold, and I think their payday is coming. It's not going to be anything like what we've seen in Bitcoin, but it's definitely there. And the other thing I think is definitely in the cards is for the United States, and actually all these countries around the world, to restore credibility in their money. It's not because they're going to want to, but I think it's very likely that they're going to be forced back onto the gold standard, which is a good thing. It may not be, because then you have sound money, and you really have two competing sound money standards competing with one another. And gold is a good standard for nation states. It's a physical commodity, just like a nation has physical boundaries. Plus, gold has this huge history behind it that just cannot be ignored. So, in my estimation, and we've seen that the Bitcoin has yet to be used as cash. And I want to bring up this article by, I've interviewed, let's see, where is this? Okay. This is the importance of the community in the creation of money. And I think it's really important to kind of look at this article. Money is not the most valuable commodity. It's the most tradable commodity. And for example, gold was money. In California during the California gold rush, gold literally traded hands for coffee, for shovels, for tents, and it was the circulating currency. Now, we were on a gold standard back then, but gold itself did not circulate as money. Gold substitutes did, specie issued by banks that represented other goods coming into the marketplace. You had coinage that was issued by the United States government. That had a face value that was substantially higher than the intrinsic value of the coins, which is called, I can't remember, it's the difference between the face, I can't remember the name of it now, but at any rate, that's one of the functions of governments, is to and they actually can profit from issuing sound money and benefit from that float between the face value and the intrinsic value of the coinage that's being issued. And of course, banks also issued specie. Very few. I mean, in the beginning, yes, there were some wildcat banks that went under, but there were basically thousands and thousands of banks that were issuing currency, and and those banknotes are rare because they all were redeemed. So it was the banks themselves and the way it worked is if the market thought too many of those banks notes were circulating, then they would be claimed for their gold reserves. This is how a gold standard works. And this is how a Bitcoin standard can also work. But I think the difficulty with Bitcoin is because it's so unique, it is a great store of value. And it may, I just see it as a fallacy to think that Bitcoin is ever going to, will never circulate as money. There may be Bitcoin substitutes that trade as money, and we've seen attempts at it, the Lightning Network. But if you see even in the crypto world, the vast majority of currency that's being used as money has actually been the United States stable coins. And so I wanted to bring this article up because this is by Aaron. I can never pronounce this. Sepulveda, QA. And he's an economist from Brownsville, which is, what city is it across the board? Well, I know it's in Texas, but I can't remember the Mexican town it's across from. I think it's Nogales, or I'm not sure. But at any rate, he lives on the border community. And I want to kind of go to his
It's the one next to it. Your video?
no, I want. Oh yeah, let's show the video.
It's one next to it. No. The one next to the.
This one?
Nope. Keep going. There it is.
Okay. All right. We did an interview with him, and this is a great. We'll put the show notes on here, but he did a great thing. But what I learned from Aaron is that he says money is not the most valuable commodity; it's the most tradable commodity. So this is the whole thing that I think needs to be developed. And I think this has been one of the interesting developments on these stable coins, because the dollar is the most tradable commodity, and they built these stable coins apart from the banking system that can be used in trade. And so this is why you've seen the stable coins actually be used as money more than Bitcoin, although Bitcoin is used as a savings mechanism. And so I think it's very important to look at that relationship. All right, here's an article that just popped up too, that there is a decline in the amount of Bitcoin that's being held by the Bitcoin whales. Now, unfortunately, the Bitcoiners, we believe in Bitcoin, so we want to accumulate Bitcoin. But in that sense, too, it's not really helping that much as far as decentralizing Bitcoin. And we still have most of the Bitcoin is in relatively few hands. And I think this is one thing that kind of works for a disadvantage, but maybe really not, because if we can develop banking in Bitcoin, then these Bitcoin hodlers will actually become the bankers of the world, and people can be on the Bitcoin standard and not really even know they're on it. When we were on the gold standard, people just made it when we were on the Bitcoin standard, people did not think of it as on the gold standard. They just knew that the dollar was convertible in gold. Oh, and the name that I was thinking of that I couldn't is gosh, I forgot about it again. Seigniorage. And the seigniorage is the difference between the face value of a coin and the intrinsic value. And when we were on the gold standard, the government issued coinage in silver dollars, silver half dollars, silver quarters, silver dimes, nickels out of nickel, that's why they call them nickel, and copper pennies. And right now, I think pennies they cost more to manufacture than what they're worth. This is how badly we've inflated the currency, and the seigniorage is really not in the coinage so much anymore as in it's just plain out. They've really redefined the classic idea of what seigniorage is. Whoops. Okay, and this is another article, 3 reasons why Bitcoin won't be boring in September. And I kind of agree with this. I think that we're quiet now. We probably are. I think we probably are making a bottom. And my views on gold is I'm very bullish on gold. And I think it will have, it's Bitcoin will, I think, follow suit and perhaps even eventually lead the way. But I do think that this is a pretty good analysis of what the market is. And the selling pressure from the miners, yeah, they were the sellers up here. The miners that hedged their position, on a high 60,000, 70,000, they locked in their profits, for the year. And then they're also leaning, the stable coin thing that kind of gives liquidity to the Bitcoin market. I'm not sure what the CHO-CH is. Is that the Swiss bank? Swiss CH is Swiss franc. Oh, okay. This is the 200-day moving average. Okay, so we're looking at the confluence of 50-day and 100-day moving averages, and I think the market actually went down below the 200-day moving average for a tad bit too. So I'm not looking for any more decline in Bitcoin. And if we look, are the seasonals up here? Yeah. Where are the seasonals?
They're after.
All right. All right. So here's our seasonal pattern, guys. Again, it's a classic seasonal pattern we have. We broke right there in August, and we're not going anywhere. We're just going sideways. But this is the time that you want to be accumulating your Bitcoin. We'll go look at the markets briefly here. Let's go look at the Bitcoin market. And again, here's the daily. We had a spike up. I don't know what caused it to rally, but coming right back down. I don't think this is a major concern. The way I look at this, when a market goes up like this and then sells off and closes down in here, what this is they're not letting the day traders get on board, because the day traders don't want to hold overnight. So if they bought the rally, they're getting out now, taking their lumps, and then it just tomorrow it probably reverses. I want to go look at again, the thing that's really kind of weird about the markets right now is because we have this Chicago Mercantile Exchange, which does quite a bit of volume, and it's a different pattern completely from what the 24/7 markets are. And so the moving averages are all different. Now, one of the things that's still important here is we have this 3-week trading gap. We gap down below it with a 5,000 point gap, leaving this huge island reversal. Now, this is a big problem. And you can see it remains a big problem. And in a classic sense, you can't rule out that Bitcoin can go into a downtrend. And it could even be a severe, it's rough to say, but there is no reason to think that Bitcoin can't go into a bear market that's grinding and wearing and just wears everybody out. And we've done the studies before. We showed you. Have you updated our pages? Oh, you haven't done that yet. Okay, well, we'll do that tomorrow then. You need to update those charts. But we did show that by dollar cost averaging from the peaks, you've actually got a better price average than Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is a big believer in Bitcoin, but you can't really take your hat off for his entry. But he's willing to suffer through because he believes in the long-term potential for Bitcoin. And his average price is estimated to be about $35,000. Now, had you started purchasing Bitcoin at its last peak that we had a couple of years ago, I think it was close to 70,000, 60 or 70,000. You're now about you have an average price of about 31,000. So even if you're the very worst trader in the world, you've dollar cost averaged. Now cost averaging means that you're buying a fixed dollar amount of Bitcoin every month, and you actually perform better than Michael Saylor. All right. So let's see. Anything else I want to cover here? Oh, let's go look at the stock market. Again, this recovery of the stock market has really surprised me. And I don't know what to say except, wow, it surprises me. I really thought the stock market was going to be in trouble. And I wanted to bring out a few other things here fundamentally. One thing that, let's see, did you put that article on there are rumors now going. I think I put it on my that RFK is going to resign. Is that?
You didn't send it.
Yeah, I sent it to you. I can. It's on. Okay. How do I get to my? No, I'll get it. I need to get to my Twitter. Where's my Twitter? Oh, okay. I did send this out, guys. Here is. There's rumors now that that RFK Jr. is thinking about dropping out and joining forces with Trump. And so I did a little poll, whether or not it's a good idea or a bad idea. Most people think it's a good idea. And I do too. I think that the risk of RFK staying in the race is it might swing enough votes in favor or take away enough votes from Trump. And, Kamala Harris is a nightmare waiting to happen. I'm not sure that, Donald Trump is certainly not a panacea. He's got some major issues, people. And again, if you go look, he has declared bankruptcy. It's debated whether it's 4 or 6 times. I think there's 4 times, but 6 times, but Trump counts 3 of them as one. And he's never declared personal bankruptcy, but he has had major companies that he formed that have gone bankrupt, and he left a lot of people hanging. So he is not a sound money person. I don't think we have much hope of him solving our woes that are so deeply rooted, but the alternative is much worse. All right, and so we'll see if he drops out. If RFK drops out of the race, I think that would be a wise thing to do, and it'd be, I think, a wise thing to do, and incorporate the disenchanted Democrats into the Republican Party. It's kind of sad that we have a 2-party system, but that's what we do. I did a little poll here, and most people, it looks like that at least follow me, agree that he should drop, that RFK Jr. should drop out of the race. So that's something to keep in mind. Here's the basis chart. Again, it's pretty well flat, but it still is not bullish, and I am just not ready to throw in the towel yet that we cannot go into a bear market in Bitcoin. I know nobody sees that, but that's what the facts are. And there is a difference. I don't know if we looked at gold yet. You look at the gold market compared to Bitcoin. Here it is. This is the daily. And if you notice, yes, gold had the same kind of move a Bitcoin had, but if you look, when it rallied today, it was rallying into new highs, and it has stayed above the new highs, which is a different pattern than what you're seeing in Bitcoin. Bitcoin on the daily, we had a rally up, but we didn't hold it, and we're still a little bit up for the day. But the difference is this: Bitcoin is not in new high territory. Gold is. And there's really no measure now, technically, on how high the gold market can go. Bitcoin is going to have resistance all the way up. We looked at silver yesterday. Silver is going to have resistance all the way up. The only free-flowing market is the gold market, and frankly, the next best thing is the stock market. Now, it has not made new highs, so this could be a major double top. But the difference between gold and Bitcoin is that gold is making new highs every day. The stock market is checking its highs, but remember, we are in August, we're running into September, and the stock market a lot of times has major problems in October, whereas Bitcoin does not. So I would tend to think that while we've got right now the stock market is outperforming Bitcoin, between now and the next 6 weeks, I would think that this is going to reverse. I think gold's going to be good regardless. The fundamentals and the technical are there regardless. The stock market could be a major issue. Now, the other thing, too, is if through some miracle we make the policy decision to establish constitutional money. Now, remember, the underlying bullish factor for gold is that gold and silver are constitutional legal tender. Now, that was taken away from gold, but our Constitution is still there. So if we go back to what our constitutional money is, the only thing that can be legal tender is gold and silver. Again, we could bring silver back as coinage. That's what they did during the gold standard. That was largely influenced by the silver interests that were mining silver in Idaho and Colorado. It was they were basically sound money crony capitalists, and so they petitioned the government to have a fixed ratio between gold and silver, which silver was just way overpriced. And so what happened was, since it was a fixed ratio, the government was forced to buy all the silver. And so to make it look like an asset, they would actually stamp it and say, this is a silver dollar. And voila, through seigniorage, now they had a major asset. They were there. You feel those silver dollars. It's a nice heavy commodity. It's not the most. It's kind of a dirty thing to handle. I mean, I remember the first time I was in Las Vegas. I was, I think 61. I was a child, but everything, all the slot machines used silver dollars or nickel quarters. I think they even had penny slots. This was what Vegas was built on, not these little tokens and paper methods of accounting that they use now. So again, I don't know what's up. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I think if I see a very bullish bull market coming in. I'm not saying I don't see a 10x in Bitcoin, but I do see a 10x in gold. And of course, if gold goes up 10x, Bitcoin is not going to be where it's at now. So, and Bitcoin is the way you want. I think both are sound money. And I think it's unfortunate for those who advocate the Bitcoin to be so like Peter Schiff, that's so anti-Bitcoin. By the same token, I think it's mistaken for Bitcoiners to discount the long-term of gold. And gold is more stable. It's not as volatile as Bitcoin. And that's one of the saving features of it. So I think Bitcoin, the primary use case for Bitcoin is that it's unconfiscatable and it's money that transcends borders, whereas gold can be very sound money within national boundaries. So there's limits and uses to each one. And to have them both competing with one another, I think it would be an excellent thing to do. And I think that's what's going to emerge. And of course, with that, we are going to have a change in the way that we think. And I think that's happening too. I'm very encouraged with Trump's campaign of no tax on tips. Now, when the young people, get that in their head, well, if there's no tax on tips, why should there be any tax on any labor? No labor should be taxed. And there is a very high correlation between the time that the United States passed the income tax and then nationalized the gold standard. And they were both done at the same time. And it's no accident that within several years of that happening, we were in World War I. This is how wars are financed. This is how Lincoln financed the Civil War. The Civil War could not have been fought if he taxed the public for it. He issued greenbacks. And the people at the time recognized this, and they made an effort to redeem all those greenbacks for gold, which they did. They were fully redeemed. Now, people sold them at a discount when they needed the money, but the people that held those greenbacks and believed in the promise of the United States government did very, very well. And of course, those who once they nationalized that gold standard and then you believed in their promises, it didn't work out so well because they did inflate the currency. And, FDR finally confiscated all the gold at $20 an ounce. And then eventually, after he seized it all, he said, well, now it's worth $35 an ounce. This is what's going to be done, have to be done to restore the United States dollar as a world currency, if that's to be. I'm not, so I'm again. I think it's something that people aren't talking about because they just can't foresee that this can ever happen. I think it's a very real possibility, and I do think that again. Bitcoin is a wonderful asset. It's a store of value. It's unconfiscatable. It transcends national boundaries. It is the money that you need, particularly if you need to flee where you're at. But it is not cash. It's the Lightning Network, has improved it to some degree, but it's been a disappointment. It's not efficient. You're seeing the most tradable commodity being used primarily as your cash, and it's not Bcash like Roger Ver had hoped. It's actually turned out to be the United States dollar, and that by the United States stablecoin dollars, and they've been able to combine the technology of the crypto networks to transfer wealth in that way. Now, that one thing also leads people to say, well, what is all this about? And why is Bitcoin so highly priced and so highly valued compared to any other crypto? And of course, once you start looking at that, then people start seeing what the real benefit and the real purpose of Bitcoin is. So anyway, I hope this helps, guys. Again, we're looking for a bottom here, but the next 6 to 8 weeks, the market, I think it's probably already, I don't think you'll see that market break down below 50,000 again. But I also can't say that it's not. If it was a classic market, I've said all year that the best thing Bitcoin could do would be to trade under 40,000. I think it's very unlikely that that'll happen now, but that's always been my contention. And but the sizable gains that everybody was looking for this year just did not happen. And these figures, whoa, 200,000 Bitcoin, 500,000. All that might happen, but I don't think you really understand what the repercussions are if that is happening. It's not going to be pleasant times. I'm not sitting here, and again, you have real problems here because it's people in the Bitcoin community that, they have a self-interest in inflating the dollar. And this is what you've got all these Bitcoin, I call them Bitcoin crony capitalists. They've got their lobbies there, and state legislators in the Capitol. RFK Jr. says, oh, we need to, buy, the United States government needs to buy so much Bitcoin every month. And then there's the other case that has been made that the government can use Bitcoin to basically inflate the dollar out of existence. It'll be an interesting situation, but I don't think that's the way that we want or need to do it. The solution is not to have the government in Bitcoin, but to get the government out of Bitcoin. I think a proper role and the legal way for the United States to bring back sound money is through the gold standard, and the Bitcoin standard is apart from those governments. And so you have a way of transcending your local governments when they get out of hand. So I think that's the more practical view, and it's very scary to me that as we are developing this Bitcoin market, there's more and more Bitcoin that's being held custodially instead of in your own private wallets. All right, well, I hope this helped. We'll be back tomorrow, and thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.